Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be, what am I on? Part 4. I am working on the embellishments for the covers of the journal. And what you see me doing here is I added some beads to some of the lace that I cut off of that bridal lace that I had, and I put a few on there. I wanted to see how that works, so I took care of that. And then now you can see me taking some of the images from the kit that I used, the lavender wedding kit, and I am placing them on the locations where I decided I wanted them. Next, I am getting ready to put the holes into all three parts of the book cover, the journal cover. Here I'm looking at, there's a couple of ridges in there where the paper didn't completely dry yet, but I'm good enough right now where I can go ahead and do that. I'm also pointing out at the top, I did glue that piece of lace on. It's the embellishment part of a wedding lace because I'm going to be putting holes through that part and I needed it down before. I think that'll be a very cool effect doing that. So um, I put the colors on the back and I've also put the um, covers or the two different lavender pieces on the center binder. And so what I have to do now is you have to make sure where you're aligning everything because to put the holes in, you have to make sure you have the front and the back properly placed, and you also have, well, and you have the tops and bottoms. So I marked a T at the top here, and so here's the back I marked on this piece, and then this will be the front. And now I have to make sure I get them placed correctly before I start punching my holes. And the first thing, there's a trick that TracyJDesigns used, which I followed. I liked it. And what she does is she makes a mark a 1/4 inch in. So here's my front, and you have to do the front on the back side. You want to make that. You don't want to do it anywhere else. You do it on the back because you don't want to have those marks show on the front. And it will be on the inside of that cover. And then I'm going to draw a line between there because that's the 1/4 inch mark. That's where the marking is going to be. And then you mark it at every inch. And there is a trick to this. I'm redrawing that mark because I couldn't see it very well here. I used a pen. And at first I'm looking at this, I go, this isn't right. And so I pulled out her directions just to make sure I had it properly marked. Or I pulled out the other book I had. I can't remember what comes up next, but I marked it 1 inch down and then at every inch. So I got 7 holes. You can see me here. I'm not quite sure of the holes. They didn't. You have to remember that this is 8 3/4 inch high, which means that I can make 7 holes, but I have to make sure and measure it properly. So it's a 1/4 inch down, and then it's at every 1 inch mark is the way it should work. So the last one will be at 7. But you can see me fiddling here because it doesn't look quite right. And so I flipped the ruler thinking that's going to help. I tried to find the center and then went from there. So once I found the center between the quarters, you can see at the top, I went down using the Tim Holtz ruler. I went down and at a 1 1/4 inch, and then marked all the way up. And that seemed to make more sense. Then I ended up with 7 7 marks for 7 holes that I'll need to add the hardware to. So there we go. Finally I thought, oh my gosh. But that is a little tricky. Um, and I know Tracy has a way she does it with the Fiskars. And I probably should have used that. I got mine out to use it, but I thought, nah, I got this. I can do it. So did the same thing to the back. You have to make sure and recheck. At first I go, oh, I needed it to be on that side. So I had to redo it. So make sure that when you're making these marks to put your front to back together that you have it on the right side. It's important, or your back will be backwards when you start putting in your eyelets. So here I am marking the second one. You put a 1/4 inch in, the same thing you did with the first one. And then make your line front all the way down. And then you're going to make those same marks where you mark them 1 1/4 down on the first one, and then as you go down you're going to mark every inch. And so this is what I did this time, made it a lot easier. I centered using this ruler. It has a nice 0 center, and marked 1 1/2 or 1 1/4 down, and then every inch from there, right across that line. There we go. That looks good. Got those marks done. And the centerpiece is a little bit different because you're going to end up with 14 eyelets. Yep, 14 eyelets in the center. And so for that, you have to do the same marking, but Tracy had a really interesting way to mark those so that you didn't have to go through and mark and measure every one of them. So I'm going to show you that here. Right now I'm just putting down a little bit of that paper that came up. All right, so I'm marking the 1/4 inch in. And this one also has nice markings right here. You can see that that's a 1/4 inch in. This is a very useful tool. One of my, it is my favorite. It is my favorite ruler. So instead of just marking it, I made my line at 1/4 inch on that side. I flipped it, made a 1/4 inch mark on this side. And then next, you lay them down, lay this one in the middle, and then take a look at your boards. That's your back. Yep, goes on the other. So I'm just making sure. Yep. There we go. Goes on this side because it's backwards. Think of it as you're opening the book up and laying it down. And when you lay the book open, this will be what you're looking at. Your front was now going to be on your left, not on your right, but on your left. So you measure, you mark these, or not mark them, you line them up, and then you go ahead with your ruler and just mark right across, matching up the right and left in the center, and just marking in the center wherever those two lines meet on the center bar there on the center. You're gonna make a hole for the eyelets. Well, it looks like my pen wasn't working real well. Out of ink. So here I'm going to redraw that one. There we go. I think it just doesn't work very well on the paper. They're some of my favorite gel pens. So there we go. I'll make a line. And then I'm just going to make that circle at the intersection so you can see it better. It should be very close to where they are. I'm standing up actually to look over the top of my camera so I can get that perfect. And when this is done, then I'm going to start making the holes. I these do take a while to make, but I love the look. The look is just so nice. All right. I'm kind of redrawing the ones in the center just because they're a little bit hard to see. It'll make punching the holes a little bit easier. So there's four. You will need there's 4 rows of 7. You need 28 eyelets. They should all be the same place. I actually picked mine up from Amazon, and the ones that came had a backing to them, so they were very cool to add in. Using my crocodile, one of the best punches. It punches through some pretty heavy papers and cardboard and things, and just punch out all the holes. I'm going to go ahead and continue punching holes and take this off, the rest of this offline. Uh, there is the one thing with the punching holes using this tool is you have to make sure and get that paper piece out so that you can move to the next hole and see where your mark is. All right, I shall be back soon. Here I have my eyelets, the ones I got from Amazon. They have, I chose the bronze. These are the numbers I got, are the numbers from Amazon. And they also came with these backs, which are very cool. It made it much easier uh, to do the lacing of the actual ribbon that I put in. So dialing to where I need to put in my eyelets to the bigger size. And what you do is you put the big one on the top, push it through, and one of the backs on the reverse side of your cardboard, and line up the holes and do a quick punch, or you push it together. And look at that. I liked it. It finished it a little bit more. I didn't get that very well in frame, but I just continued and took this offline as well because it is a long, tedious process to put 28 of these on here. And went pretty well. I didn't have any fiascos, so that was a good thing. It probably took me a good 30 minutes to do these. So I'll show you the finished product. And shazam, it's done. All the holes are punched and the eyelets are in, and it looks great. So I did my own staining of the seam binding, and so it's kind of a little crinkly. I liked it that way. And so all you do is you cut a good length. You want it a good, I made mine a little bit longer than like the length of the book or the holes, and then almost a full length back up again. I wanted to make sure I had enough. And then you're going to start from the top there, and you start pushing them in from the bottom. Always go in from the bottom, and then I always went from right, or from the right side to the left, right, left, right, left. And then if you continually and do it that way, you get a really nice look, nice clean look at the end. And this is what it looks like. You don't want to get it all set and um, glue it in quite yet, or tie it shut yet. You want to keep it still loose. Here you can see I decided I did want to put a tassel on this book, so I used one of the Tim Holtz, oh, I forget what they're called. Tim Holtz ring fasteners. I like those. They make good place to hang. Very, very sleek and nice looking. And I put that in there before I was ready to glue it. I'm trimming up some of the extra lace on it. You can see I goofing around with some of the laces I have. I really like that heart lace that my sister got. I don't know where she got it from, but I'm in love with it. I'm so glad I have a good stash of it. I did use some of the other laces there. You'll see it at the end. You see it at the end. But what I'm doing here is if I'm going to add lace to the covers, you need to do it at this point. So I wanted to make sure and glue some underneath. Now, I did use this heart lace, but not at the on the outside. I had to I tea stained it a while ago and took it back and had to actually bleach some of it so that it would match. It's funny how sometimes you tea stain it and you want it, grungy looking for something, and then you end up having to unstain it at the end. I think I might not do that anymore and just tea stain stuff when I know I need some for what I'm working on. So I chose the hearts, the white hearts. It is a white, mostly white papers. Uh, so I went with that along with this pretty lavender, light purple lace. I like it. Looks good. So now it's ready to glue on. And so I'm tying up the ribbons just to get them out of my way and gluing on the back. Now I kind of smoosh it around a little bit because I want to make sure that I don't get lumps in the book. And then I put my hand on it. There we go. I start pulling out some clips because I used Fabri-Tac to attach it. I want to make sure that it holds, and because it does have a tendency to pull up. And I have finished it. I like what I have. It looks great. And now I'm going to start to embellish the front and the back. I use these, like I said before, I have the embellishments from the bridal lace that I've trimmed off, and I start gluing on the back. I knew I wanted these on the back. Just using Fabri-Tac here, finding the best place for it. And now I am gluing. I didn't glue it all the way yet, but I started to glue the binding on the back, and then started to play with the front. I couldn't decide exactly how I was going to do that. So I got to look at the seam binding and did not like it. It looked plain. I didn't like it. So what I'm doing here, and this was a very long process, and it's not the first time I did this. I am adding lace to the seam binding, and it I just had to add it. It needed something. It wasn't bright enough. It almost looked like my seam binding was fading over the few weeks that I had it out. I don't know if something's going on with the light. I don't think I'd use something else next time. And so I gathered up some white lace and I'm going to thread it. And I'm using this. These are they're dental floss um, picks that are used for people that have braces. You can put the floss in there, but it's perfect. I use it for a lot of things, and that's what I did. I went through and I relaced again in between it the lace with the binding, which I liked a lot better. I do find it interesting that bookbinding is, and making these types of journals is a long process. And if you think sometimes you might have some ideas in your mind how you want to do the outside of something, you know, it's it's always there's always room for improvement or changes, and you see that here. I'm very kind of very picky about what I have, what it looks like, the end product. Uh, I a junk journal is fun. Yes, it's clean. It's not always clean, but for me, it has to have some rhyme and reason in there. Some places. I just don't like to just put down a lot of random things. So that's what I did here, and I do like how this turned out. You'll see later when I do the final walkthrough that the seam binding actually ends up being uh, changed. I had to re-dye it, and you'll see that on the final walkthrough. So, but here I am finishing this up, and I will stop here. I am happy you stayed and watched through if you did, and hope you're enjoying this process. It was a lot of fun. And all I have left is pretty much the front cover, which I will do in my next part. All right, have a great day. Thanks for watching.